are we, everyone? Good morning. Welcome back to another... Oh, you can hear me. I thought I was on mute. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all very much for joining. It is Game Week 3, the deadline stream. Finally, we have some transfers to make. Unfortunately, I did miss the price drop on Cole Palmer last night, which is something I very... Echo? I think it's fine. Yeah, which I very rarely do, particularly early on in the season, which is frustrating. It is frustrating, I have to admit. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We will look and talk about the potential transfers. Things are maybe not quite as exactly as I thought they were going to be with my potential transfers. We'll talk about why that might be in just a moment. But before we dive in, let's do the usual bit. Let's say hello to some of you in the chat before we get started. Thank you all for joining on the early Saturday morning deadline. While you're all saying hello in the chat, we'll get to it in a moment. I think it's nice to have a Saturday morning deadline back, I have to admit. Although with Chelsea being the 12:30 kickoff, it doesn't leave you very much time between the end of the stream and getting to the Chelsea game. It also, I saw someone in the chat earlier saying, I think they were, maybe they were, no, they can't be Australia. It must be they were like in America. Or it just makes me think that, oh, the timer is wrong. Let me check that. Let me check that. Anyway, I will fix that. I will fix that. Yeah, for all the people looking and watching from all over the world, I do commiserate you having to get up at early hours for deadlines. I was in America on my honeymoon, and just that was enough to make it difficult for posting content. And for all of you who get up, this is a little appreciation if you're watching my stream from somewhere that the time zone is not between 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. If you are outside of those time zones, I appreciate you even more. I don't really know what's going on with that timer. Anyway. Anyway, let's say hello to a few of you. Beast, hello to Jonathan, hello to Immortal, hello to Anwar, hello to Farber, hello to Mad, hello to Fiona, hello to Dylan, hello to Cowboy, hello to FPL Vert, MadTube, Wasim, Rahul, to all the members and moderators in especially. Thank you all very much for all of your help, and to everyone else. Joel, Jack, Trigger Talks, FPL, Omar, Belfast, Andrew, Aaron, Sarah, Hussein, Mortem, Mattia, Mark, Trap, Sam, Dev, Road 2, Ranj, Joanne, Enum, Manuel, Josh, Hayden, Johnny, Manis, Peter, Stanley, Peter, different Peter, Yarup, Mayat, Jonathan, Luca, Mason, Yoav, who else have we got? Wello, Enam, DJ FPL Tips, Joy Park, and one more, Chris, Dan, and Dylan. Thank you all very much for joining. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you all. As I said, I think it's quite nice to have a Saturday deadline, but I appreciate if you are miles out of the time zone, then that is not ideal for you. Anyway, I have missed the price change on... I'm all over the place this morning. I missed the price change on Cole Palmer last night, and it wasn't intended. He wasn't predicted to drop until very close. Live FPL did tweet this morning, and completely fair enough, especially at the early on in the parts of the season, it's quite difficult to know exactly what the algorithms are like and how players getting red flagged. Like, that's the first major player we've had become unavailable and become red flagged, especially so close to the deadline. So it is a little bit unprecedented. So, I mean, completely fair enough. These things happen, and I decided not to make the transfer. And realistically, I should have made it. To be honest, I should have made the transfer. Yeah, I realized the timer is wrong, but it's done like automatically. So I don't quite know, and I might just turn all of that section off for just a bit. Yeah, so I probably should have done it because there was a risk that he was going to drop. Now, he wasn't predicted to drop, but I think we could all have said that there was a risk that he was going to drop based on the fact that he was so mass transferred out and then got, completely ruled out, and the transfers just went through the roof. So there was always a risk, and I was never going to gain any extra information this morning. So I probably should have made the transfer in hindsight last night. Now, that is hindsight because he dropped. If he hadn't have dropped, it wouldn't matter. So, yeah, it is what it is. I do wonder if my transfers will be slightly different. Not different, but I'm just wondering if the second Chris Wood transfer is actually worth it for me. Because I wonder if having the second transfer for the international break is more important than getting Chris Wood this week. Particularly because Chris Wood would be on my bench next week. So to bring in Chris Wood this week, to give myself a benching headache, to then bench him next week, I'm not sure I definitely need to do it this week, and whether the extra bit of information is maybe slightly more worth it this week. So what that would look like is it would just do Palmer. It wouldn't really change who I'd go and buy because I'd still want to leave the money in the bank, I think. So I'd do Palmer down to like Sarr or Semenyo or Kudu, still the same pool of players. But it would then just look like this because I know West Ham are leaking goals. That's the only thing. But if, for example, like no benching headache, you just bench Wood. But then I have to bench someone because if I'm doing Palmer to Ismail Assar, I then have a benching headache. Now I know Chris Wood wouldn't really be part of the benching decision because he's definitely a start this week. But I'm just not sure the second transfer is definitely worth it. I'm just not sure the second transfer is 100% worth it. The only other issue I have is, we haven't started well. And if I'd have started better, I'd be more inclined just to only use one transfer. But because I haven't started particularly well, I'm more inclined to try and fix something to force it to be better, if that makes sense, which probably isn't the right way of playing, but it does cross my mind a little bit. So I also, the other thing I spoke about on Twitter yesterday was I'm a little bit cautious about Palace. Speaking to a Palace fan yesterday and just talking about the level of fatigue that they are, the level of fatigue that they've shown in the second half against Forest last week, a little bit that they showed again on Thursday evening, and now in game week 4 and 5, they don't, and game week 6 they don't have Europe, but then from then onwards they do have it. So yeah, I think Sarr will still be the midfielder I bring in, but I'm a little bit uncertain on whether I'll do the Chris Wood move or not. Anyway, let's get in, and is it still... Yeah. I tried refreshing it, but... So, let's answer a few of your questions, shall we? Semenyo or Sarr? I think Semenyo is... Did Semenyo go up again last night? He was predicted to, I think. Because if there's now that, like a 0.8 gap, I just don't think there's 0.8 worth of value between them. Like, I don't think he's 0.8 million better in my eyes than than Sarr. So Semenyo kind of feels like one if you've missed the boat. I don't think I'm going to spend 7.3 million on him. Is probably where I'm at. I don't think the next 3 games, if we have a look. It might be slightly blurry, but there you go. Like, the fixtures are good, but Spurs away, they've got Brighton, Newcastle, Fulham, Palace. Like, the fixtures are not bad, and if you've gone Semenyo, you can absolutely play him every single week. But you also, like, some of those are not that straightforward. Like, I would say Brighton's a pretty good fixture, Leeds is as well, but Spurs are defending well, Newcastle are defending pretty well, and Fulham and Palace are also defending pretty well. So there is part of me that thinks that I'm pretty certain I'm not going Semenyo. I'm pretty certain. I mean, you can look at the Palace fixtures and say very similar, right? Villa away, Sunderland, West Ham, Liverpool, Everton, Bournemouth. And are the Palace fixtures any better? No, they're not. That's why they're below them in the ranking. But I'm spending 0.8 million less on Sarr than I am on Semenyo now. Where else could you go? I suppose the obvious one is Kudus. Martinez, I have updated it. I've changed it. It's now the right Sarr in the midfield list. Thank you for letting me know in the chat, but I have updated it. Yeah, I mean, I could go Kudus, and I would say that's the obvious play. I would say Kudus is a more obvious pick than Semenyo is, if you're doing, purely a fixture-based transfer. Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds, Aston Villa, like the next 6 for Spurs are great, right? They're absolutely great. And I suppose the next question is, what does Xavi Simons do to that team? I don't think it impacts Kudus very much. I have so many questions about Brennan Johnson, and I will remain that I will not buy Brennan Johnson. He's become too much of a minutes risk over the past season. If you go and look at his minutes already so far this season, yes, he's scored 17 points, but he's the first one to get subbed like every single game, and they're still in the market for another winger. And if they sign Xavi Simons, Kudus, and another winger, Brennan Johnson is going to be the first name in that team sheet that isn't going to start. And for example, if they want to play Xavi Simons not centrally, he can play on the left. I'm not going anywhere near Brennan Johnson. I think he's fine short term. And if he keeps his starting place, he'll be a fantastic option because at his price, he's probably, he's the best option at that price if he keeps his minutes. But until I see that, I'm not going there yet. Effect on Papsar after the Xavi Simons entry. It just probably means he's slightly less secure. He probably means he's playing slightly deeper as well. Would I say it's better to have Mbeumo or Kudus? Long term, I prefer Kudus. I definitely wouldn't double up on the Man United mids. Alanga and Johnson in for Dewsbury Hall and Palmer and bench Wirtz. I don't mind benching Wirtz just for 1 week. I'm not sure Alanga and Johnson would be my top midfielders to buy though. Any plan for free hit and wildcard? So this is quite a big question so far, but thank you for setting it in. I wonder if I won't free hit in game week 6 anymore. But it might depend on what my transfers look between now and then. Because if I don't buy Chris Wood and I don't buy Semenyo, suddenly like a free hit in game week 6 is slightly more likely because of the fixtures they have that week. Part of me does want to save it until later down the line. But if I buy Sarr this week and I don't buy Wood and I don't buy Semenyo, then that probably increases the chance of a game week 6 free hit because I don't have any Bournemouth against Leeds, don't have much Forest at home to Sunderland, I don't have much City at home to Burnley, and I don't have much Spurs at home to Wolves. So what I do this week will have a big impact on whether I decide to free hit in game week 6 or not. Strand Larson and Palmer, but no João Pedro Wood thoughts. I mean, I would look at... the Strand Larson one's difficult because we haven't had any sort of confirmation about whether he's going to be available or not today. I think we've got to assume Well, again, I don't even think we can assume either way. If you have a good first sub, I probably would try and keep Strand Larsen because, I mean, if he goes to Newcastle now, he's obviously, I don't think he's going to be first. Well, he might be first choice, but probably not. I'd keep an up. What was the last update we had on Strand Larsen? That's a difficult one. I probably wouldn't take the risk on him if you don't have a good first sub because there's lots of good forwards. But that being said, if you can downgrade Palmer and upgrade Mark Guiu instead of Strand Larsen until we see what happens with Strand Larsen, then that is probably what I would do. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what I do. Let's just crack through a few of the super chats. Need your help. Would I take a -4 for Palmer out or start Dewsbury Hall? Also have Strand Larsen. If that player is going to be your captain, I would. If not, I probably would just hold him and hope. It sounds like Palmer will be back game week 4. Thanks for the content. Palmer to Sarr done last night. You need to do Fulkrog to João Pedro Wood, Watkins, Gyökeres this morning. I would probably go... I probably would go... I think João Pedro is my number 1 forward to buy this week. Out of those. No, I would just... I wouldn't take a hit to sell Strand Larsen. Bench Wirtz or Reinders. My gut would say Wirtz, but the data probably wouldn't agree. One transfer, 4 million in the bank. Wirtz, Guiu, Minte, Dewsbury Hall. Who's a priority sell? To be honest, I would say a Guiu upgrade is probably the best solution there. And then you can just bench one of Minte and Dewsbury Hall. Yeah. And use a second free transfer game week 4. More information about Ekatike. Yes. I wouldn't use your free hit. I don't like the free hit this week that much, to be honest. Should I play double Newcastle defence or double Everton defence? Or should I play the back 3 of Pickford, Porro, Cucurella and Livramento? Yeah, I like that the most. Not doubling up on any defence at the moment. Rodgers, Johnson and Estevat and Reinders. Which 2 would I keep and sell? I would want them all, to be honest. They're all great this week. If I had to rank them for this week and going forward, I would probably put Rodgers top, Reinders second, Johnson third, Esteval last, because Esteval will come out when Palmer comes back. I imagine. Cool. Wood or Pedro? Sorry, let me get my team back up. You're staring at the fixture ticker. Start Tarkowski or Wirtz? Probably Tarkowski. Like, DEFCON probably means that Tarkowski is a better start this week than Wirtz. This stream looks weird without the thing on the top left, but I can't have the timer wrong. Elanga or Barnes? So this is a big one, and I think Barnes has the ability to outscore Elanga over the next 3 weeks whilst Gordon is suspended to make it worthwhile going Barnes, but I'm not confident enough that that would be the case. So I would go Elanga over Barnes. So yeah, just let me show you what it means for my team going forward. Do I need to? Here we go. Right, so this is what my team currently looks like. Yeah. So if I do Palmer out and I buy 6.5 million Ismail Assar, right? That's what my team looks like this week. Then next week, my team looks like this. And if I bought Chris Wood, he'd be benched next week. he has Arsenal away. So I'd be benching him, probably. So I'm buying him to give myself a benching headache and then to bench him. Now in game week 5, I'd have a lot of free transfers by then. So maybe I look to bring in another forward, but I'll have a pretty nice lineup apart from Reinders. So I know he's got a good fixture again away at Burnley that week. And then if I'm going to free hit in game week 6. So, but like, does my team even need a free hit in game week 6? Like, I just don't know if it's really worth the extra transfer. That's basically where I'm at. Play Verbruggen, City at home, or Dubravka away at United. I'd play Dubravka, I think. Captain Haaland. Haaland is the best captain. If you are in a fortunate enough position to own Haaland, he would definitely be my captain this week. Yeah. What are my thoughts on the different Manchester United midfielders? I still think Bruno, Mbeumo, Cunha. I know Cunha has been the most transferred in out of all of them, and people really like him, and maybe that's right, but he's not top for me. He's not top for me. I like what Mbeumo can offer in terms of output. Bruno is the consistent pick. And I said this in some of my videos this week, and I appreciate that the things I'm about to say didn't happen, but we were one DEFCON, and we were a penalty away from Bruno being the most transferred in and most captained place. There we go. We fixed the timer. Well, I didn't. FPL captain fixed the timer. Do I bench Reinders, Rodgers, or Semenyo this week? Probably Reinders. Like this is part of the reason that I don't want to buy Chris Wood now, because I'd have to be benching Reinders. I'd have to bench Reinders, so doesn't feel great. Why pick Saar over Kudus? Saar's data is by far the best at that price when you look at last year. It's difficult with Kudus because you're trying to predict a quite unknown quantity. And we don't know how much... Like, his assist threat in game week 1 looked great. But that's because Richarlison, like, great finish and then scored a bicycle kick. If Kudus... if Richarlison doesn't score a bicycle kick and Kudus has one attack and return in the first 2, I don't think it's quite as popular. I just still have this recollection of listening to Planet FPL during pre-season and them discussing Kudus and saying that they thought he felt shot shy. And I'm finding it hard to shrug that memory of what they said. His goal threat was never good enough at West Ham, even when they were scoring a load of goals. Now, that might change at Spurs. His assist potential might be good enough that it's absolutely fine. But I always want a player... who's good for his goal threat, right? Free hit, Gakpo, Grealish, Sarr, Alanga, Gibbs, White, pick 2. I wouldn't go Gakpo. Like, if I was on free hit this week, I wouldn't go for any Liverpool or Arsenal players. I probably wouldn't go Sarr. I would definitely go Gibbs White, and I'd go Alanga, I think. Thoughts on Ndoye or Grealish for Parma? My only issue with Ndoye is we've seen Nuno do it before where suddenly he changes system and he just drops random players out of nowhere, even when they've been playing really well. So, yeah. I still don't love... I think Ndoye's fine if he keeps his place, but when Europe starts, he feels like one of those that could be a risk. Is triple captaining Wood this game week a good idea? I don't think it's a bad idea. He's top 3 captaincy picks for me this week, but I still think there's better options for like Salah and Haaland later down the line. It is triple captaining Chris Wood this game week. Sorry, we've just done that. What makes you sure United will even beat Burnley? I would say the prediction is that United beat Burnley. I'm not that confident on it, but if I'm not buying Chris Wood, the other thing that might tempt me to go Chris Wood is if I want to captain him. If I want Chris Wood as my captain over Bruno, then I think it's worth it, even if I'm going to give myself a benching headache. You saw me on Fantasy Football Live. I was on the FPL show yesterday. Yes, I was. Thank you all very much for the support on the channel that gives me the opportunity to do these things. I absolutely love going on. Yeah. And actually, it was Kelly Summers on the show yesterday who was the first one that said to me, Harry, why do you, like, basically said, why do you need Chris Wood? And I said, oh, if I'm going to buy Chris Wood, I may as well buy him for West Ham at home. But it did make me think afterwards, do I actually need to go and buy Chris Wood this week? And maybe not. Maybe not. So, yeah. Thank you all for joining, by the way. There's 5,000 of you in, so welcome. If you could drop a like on the stream. 5,000 of you have not liked the stream. If you could just, that would be fantastic. Would be greatly appreciated. And subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you all for very much for 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of the love and the support. We got that this time last week, so thank you. Free hit, Dangaratara, Grealish, Berman, Cunha, Pope, Dorgu, Tarkowski, Kukurea. Yeah. I don't know. Dorgu, yeah. Pope and Berman, Cunha, yeah. Team looks like there's no forwards in there, but I like all of those picks. Sarr in for Ndai. I wouldn't sell him Ndai. We still think he'll be on penalties. I think he only came off early because he had a slight knock and he's fine now, I think. So I wouldn't sell him Ndai. I still like him. Yeah, I wouldn't do Sarr in for Ndai. Definitely not this week. I'd also get rid of the bench warmer, Mark Guiu. Yeah, but like, I'm very conscious that what happens with Isak, like, do we think Isak is going to sign? Like, do we think Isak is going to sign? Like, if Isak is not going to sign, I need to leave a spot open to buy Liverpool players. Like, this week it might be Forest, but next week it'll be someone else. Most likely, yes. Well, then I might not need the transfer so much, but... is it valid to keep Palmer, just roll the transfers, even if it means his price drops? Yes. Yes. I think it's absolutely fine. If you have, the thing is, I don't think I have the bench cover for it. I don't think I'll leave. I think I'll have Anderson first sub as well. I think I'll have it like that. I don't have the cover for benching Palmer this week, I don't think. Now, is Ismail Assar that much better? Now that I've already accepted the price drop on Palmer? Oh, that's another question. Is Ismail Assar that much better this week? Sar's record versus Villa is really good, yeah. Because, I mean, if it's not impossible that I go Sarr this week and then I go, like, back to Palmer. But is Sarr, like, worth the transfer this week? Because I could just bench him. It's probably not worth it, right? I'm going to lose too much value. You could go Anderson this week to allow funds for Guiu up to Ekitike. Yeah, but if Liverpool are going to sign Isak, I'm not buying Ekitike. Even though I fully expect Ekitike to start game week 4. I expect him to start game week 3, game week 4, and probably game week 5. But I'm not buying Ekitike in game week 4, expecting him to be an issue a couple of weeks further down the line. So if Isak goes, I'm not buying Ekitike and I'm not buying Gakpo. And I would just have to go without them for the Burnley fixture. Is Sarr better than Kudus? I think the goal threat is slightly better with Sarr. I'm just concerned about Palace's fatigue. I mean, is Sarr much better than Anderson? If I'm not going to buy Chris Wood, no Forest players is a really big deal. I mean, I've got Williams, and this is the thing, like, and it's the same thing when I look at the game week 6 free hit, that I can't own everyone. And there will be players I have to leave out in certain weeks. Like, I can't own the best players in every week. And maybe not having Chris Wood, like, if he's not going to be my captain. Chris Wood this week is far better. But then who do I bench? Like, if I do go, if I go Sarr and I go Chris Wood, do I bench Reinders? Is it Reinders who I bench? Do I regret Agbadu as a pick? If anything, the opposite. Game week 1, he played City. It is what it is. And game week 2, he got 4 points. He got DEFCON, and that's literally why I owned him. I'd bench Sarr. Yeah. Is Rutter fit? I wouldn't be relying on Rutter. Bench Rodgers, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I understand. I think that might be the sensible play, and actually a lot of you saying it. I'm not going to bench Rodgers. I'm not, I don't think. Rodgers, Sarr, Anderson on the bench. Like, if it's that, like, I think Sarr gets benched. I know his record against Villa is great, but is Guiu going to drop in price? Someone in the chat said Guiu might drop. It's not predicted to at the moment, but he probably will at some point. That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't really want to lose that 0.1 value either, but Guiu's not predicted to drop tonight. I just looked at the Scout website. He's predicted to get to like -70, but that will slow down massively after the deadline. So I don't think he'll get that close, but he may well drop over the break. But once everyone's done this Palmer Guiu double transfer, it will slow down massively. So if Isak is signing, like, this is the thing. If I knew Isak was definitely going to sign, and maybe with the potential news that are like Strand Larsen and the other striker they signed, that maybe that is enough encouragement that he will, that I won't need a route to Isaac's definitely signing. But I suppose, right, here's the next question. Sorry, I know we're doing a lot of let's look at Harry's team. Salah, Watkins or Pedro for captaincy. João Pedro is my favourite there. Is Sarr better than Kudus? I personally think so. Why not consider Gakpo? Purely based off the fact that if they sign Isak, I think he's an issue, basically. What was I going to look at? Yeah, who are the forwards that if I don't buy Chris Wood this week, like, who am I likely to buy? Like, is it finding a route to Gyökeres? Hang on. Is it finding a route to Gyökeres? It could be Mateta next week. Like, if we look at the fixture ticker from next week, what forward am I going to buy? Palace, but if I'm going Sarr, I don't think I want to double up on Mateta. And if Ekatike is going, then... Oh, sorry. Yeah, if Ekatike is going to be competing with Isak, then, that's this whole issue in itself. Why didn't I just transfer out Palmer yesterday? He wasn't predicted to drop, so yeah, I wish I'd sold him. Yeah, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Onana and Kamara will not participate in the match. Does that mean that Sarr is a good choice? It probably makes Villa slightly weaker defensively, yeah. I think I'm going to do Palmer to Sarr, but now that I've missed the price change, I'm not quite as confident. But I think he'll drop again at some point over the international break. So it's just whether I do the Chris Wood transfer or whether I hold off, whether that second transfer is more beneficial to me later down the line. But I'm just looking at who I'll be looking to buy. Will it be Mateta in game week 4? Who do I buy in game week 4? I probably don't. I probably make a defensive transfer in game week 4. Anyway. What to do with... What do I think of Livramento? I don't mind the Newcastle fixtures. I still think I'd prefer Dan Burn because he looks great for DEFCON. So probably would go Burn over him. I have 108 points, I think. Not the best start. I could just go Chris Wood, yeah. This is what I mean. If I don't buy Chris Wood this week, and then what am I going to use as my potential transfer? Planning on Munoz or Tarkowski? Well, this is the thing. I think I'll want a defensive upgrade in the next couple of weeks. So maybe the Chris Wood transfer isn't as essential next week. Because having 2 transfers next week could be really helpful. And the money in the bank. But maybe it's just I do Williams up to someone next week. I'd look at doing that. Wood is your man last season. I know he was. I was actually talking to Oscar about this on the show yesterday. We were like, everyone seems to have a player. Like Ross's is Strand Larsen. Sorry, Ross's is Cunha. Oscar's is Strand Larsen. And we were like, who was mine? And I was like, oh, it definitely is Chris Wood from the beginning of last season. Chris Wood is my guy. So maybe I just go there. Well, this is it. But if I end up using both transfers this week and suddenly Isak doesn't sign for them, I suddenly don't have a way to get Ekatike. I could get to Gakpo. Yeah. I mean, Chris Wood would be on the bench for me next week regardless. So, Harvey Barnes is a differential. I still think he'll be an issue further down the line, yeah. So personally not. Why not Ndoye for Palmer? Ndoye and Gyökeres. I see a lot of people going Gyökeres just so they can have him in place for a few weeks down the line, and I don't mind that, but I don't think the fixtures short term are amazing. And Ndoye's not a bad pick, to be fair. You got a loose plan for chips early on. Save everything apart from maybe the free hit in game week. Game week 6. Wildcard draft. If you need a wildcard or a free hit draft, check out my complete guide video from yesterday. It's got all of them in. So I feel like I've finally woken up. I feel like I've been half asleep for the first. I didn't sleep very well last night. I feel like I've finally woken up after the first. That coffee is kicked in after the first half an hour of feeling a bit sluggish. Yeah, Damsgaard is an interesting one. Oh, that is strong. I'm not a one for a strong juice. Why not Gibbs White? I don't think he's worth the money over Ndoye or over. I don't think he's worth the money over Ndoye or Anderson. Hungover? Absolutely not. For anyone who knows me, I'm very rarely hungover because I very rarely drink. Vibes, FPL, of course. Should I start 8 Nori or Beto? Probably 8 Nori. But what about 3 Sar, 4 Esteb to Crystal Palace, and 5 Strand Larson? Yeah, the Wolves fixtures are good from 5. Where are they? Leeds, Spurs, Brighton, Sunderland. If I see more from him in the next 2, but he might end up at Newcastle. My thing is, right, where is there, apart from, Arsenal in 7, and maybe that's what I need to wait for, where is there a forward that I want to buy that isn't Chris Wood this week? And let's say I'm not going to buy Mateta. Like, I could buy Mateta next week, but I don't really want double Palace, right? So, apart from Chris Wood this week and Gyökeres in 7, I don't see another forward. And Ekitike, right? So, it's Wood. If I'm not going Ekitike, because I think Isak will sign, Gyökeres in 7, Chris Wood this week. If I'm not going Chris Wood this week, I am probably waiting for Gyökeres in 7. I think. What's wrong with double Palace? I'm just slightly concerned about their European fixtures. I think I'm just concerned about having too many of them when they go into Europe. So, and we've seen Mateta, his minutes have been the one that have been concerning at the end of last year. So, but if I'm not going to make a Ekitike in 4, but if Isak moves, I'm definitely not going there. Solanke, yeah, but Richarlison has been playing really well. There's lots of good forwards, but I don't know where I'd look to buy if it isn't Chris Wood this week, but maybe I don't need them. Like, maybe I just keep the money for something else. Mark, congratulations on being a member for 3 years. Thank you very much. What a milestone. Thank you. Bruno or Salah captain? Bruno's top of my, he's higher in my ranking out of those 2, yeah. Saka to keep? No, I'd sell Saka just like I'd sell Palmer. So, will Wissa be making it back into the team? If he doesn't sign for someone in the next couple of days, sounds like he's not going to be in the squad again for game week 3, but he might well be back for game week 4. In which case, maybe Wissa, but he feels very expensive for that Brentford team now. Is Strand Larsen out? We don't really know. I personally wouldn't want to take the risk on it that much. But I would look to have just cover if you have him. Good morning, Holly. Hope you're having a nice weekend. Holly is away this weekend. She's in the chat. Everyone say hello to Holly, please. Richarlison, again, like the whole issue with Spurs is I expect there to be rotation, particularly when the Champions League starts. Have I decided? I think I'll go Saar. But part of me does wonder about rolling the transfers. Part of me does wonder about rolling the transfers. Bench Vert, Saar, or Reinders? Probably Reinders. Has triple captain Wood? Yes, triple captain. No, the issue with having Holly in the chat is she's going to tell me that I need to buy Chris Wood. She's going to tell me that I need to buy Chris Wood. Right, so this is where my thought process is, right? I'm not sure Chris Wood is worth buying for game week 3 to then bench him against Arsenal in game week 4. So then I'm like, well, I just buy Saar. But then if I'm just buying Saar, is Saar much better than like Anderson for this week and then keeping Palmer and rolling rolling all the transfers? And it just feels like I'm on this this stepping back to rolling, but I don't think I can roll. Don't think I can roll. Palmer to Kudus. Xavi Simmons means Johnson a doubt. Yeah, I wouldn't go Johnson. I don't think I don't mind the Johnson pick. I just think it does come with a bit of risk. I think Johnson will be absolutely fine for the next few, but it comes with a risk when Champions League starts. But I might be wrong on it. Like I might be wrong on Richarlison as well. Reinders or Semenyo for Palmer and get João Pedro in. Yeah, I like both of the. Like I prefer Semenyo to Reinders, but I prefer Semenyo to Reinders if you've got the money. Thoughts on Esteval as a differential for Palmer? I wouldn't go Esteval because it sounds like game week 4 will come and Palmer will be back, and Esteval is the one that is expected to drop out. Have Palmer, Saka, Fulkrog, and Guiu to sort. Palmer, I mean, I probably would prioritize Saka in one of the forwards because Palmer might be back in 4. Why not considering for Watkins cap, home tied Villa? Because I've unfortunately seen enough from Villa that having 2 of them is enough without putting the Campsy armband on them. I think. Mark, Gordon, Palmer out, have Salah, Reinders, and Rutter. Ooh. How much is Gordon? Because I would be I'd consider doing Gordon, Rutter to like Kudus, Saar, and benching Palmer. Yeah, I did see that Strand Larsen apparently hasn't travelled. Right, I did a update on Twitter or X last night, and now all like the text is really difficult to read. Has anyone else done that, or is it just mine broken? Oh, Holly, you changed your name. Is it just me? Why is the sound so low? It shouldn't be. You're not the first person that said it, though. Hello? Is the sound... I think it's fine. It seems to be coming up high enough. Bruno or Wood cap? It will be Bruno, I think. Get rid of Guiu or Larson. I'd get rid of Guiu first. I think. Thoughts on Alanga? I don't mind the Alanga pick. I just worry a little bit about like Newcastle without a few of their key players, but I think he's fine. He would definitely be on a free hit this week if I was on it, but I'm not. When am I saving bench boost for? I might play it in 5, but I think it's probably unlikely. Yeah. Oh no, someone's told me I haven't blinked again. Now I'm really conscious of my blinking like last week. Breakfast of choice. I haven't eaten yet. I'll eat lunch at the football. After my stream, I'm off to the early kickoff. If I don't have him, would I move Palmer to Bruno or someone else? I probably would go to Bruno, yeah, if I didn't have him. Why not a Spurs mid? Sar's got Europe too. I just think the thing is with Palace, their European games, as a Chelsea fan, I know that there is the ability to rest players in Europe in that league, whereas Spurs definitely won't have that luxury, really. Nick, I apologise for missing your super chat. Palmer for Grealish, bring in Ekatike or Chris Wood. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining. I don't mind the Grealish pick. He was really impressive in the first week. And I would probably go Chris Wood because I worry that Isak will sign for Liverpool and make Ekatike a risk. But if Isak doesn't sign, then the right answer is probably Ekatike there. But I would probably go Wood just for the short term, I think. So, yeah, I don't mind the Grealish punt at his price. Really impressive game week 1. If he continues to perform like that, he'll be a great pick. Why is Palmer not on the bench? Because I plan on selling him. I think I'm going to have to sell him. As much as if I had a better first sub, I think I'd roll this week. But I think the sensible thing is probably to sell him. It's just whether I use the second transfer or not. Particularly if I'm not going to captain Chris Wood. But is it okay to bench Wirtz? Like, I wouldn't own Wirtz if you're going to bench him a lot. But if you're going to bench him this week, then play him for the next few. I think that's absolutely fine. Wildcard midfield, top 5 picks if you aren't going Salah. Bruno, I'd probably go Bruno, Semenyo, Sarr, maybe Reinders, Anderson, and then go for a big front 3 of Woods, Haaland, and one other, depending on what you can afford, like João Pedro. Something like that. Best replacement for Palmer, Kudus, Johnson, Sarr. I wouldn't go Johnson. I still think there's enough risk there. I know a lot of you in the chat disagree and think that Johnson is a good pick, but yeah. The best midfielder in for Palmer. You don't fancy Sarr. Kudus, Semenyo, going down to someone like Anderson, Reinders. There's lots of ways to play it. Is perhaps Sarr a sell in a few weeks? I mean, let's see what happens with the Spurs team once they get Xavi Simons into that lineup, because if he comes in, he'll probably take the 10, I imagine, and then that will drop Papsar back, and then he becomes more of a rotation risk in general. Is Saka differential enough? Sorry, you have Saka and Palmer, 2 free transfers. Ilman and Dye, Gakpo, Zubamendi already. Haaland, Watkins. -4 to bench Zubamendi, Guiu for Wood, and no Palmer, Saka for who? Or just free transfer and... I probably would just sell Saka and Guiu and maybe bench Palmer. I'm not sure it's worth a hit for it. Play Ndoye or Elanga. Long term, if I had to just pick one for this week, I probably would go Elanga for the fixture. But best 3 forwards on wildcard. Is it crazy to keep Watkins? I'd go Watkins, João Pedro, Chris Wood if I was on wildcard this week. I think, which makes me think, well, maybe I just go and buy that forward line. Is it likely I would say I would expect Palmer's price to drop over the international break, yeah. Why Sarr over Grealish? Sarr is one of those players whose data is really impressive, and the fixtures from next week look very nice. Everton walk in after Wolves. They have Villa, which is all right. Liverpool, Palace, City. Whereas Palace walk into Sunderland, West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth. But also, if you stretch, so my plan at the moment is a wild card in game week 13. And if you look at the Palace fixtures until then, it's possible that I just keep Sarr until I wildcard, because they have Villa, Sunderland, West Ham, then they have the Liverpool game, but then it's Everton, Bournemouth, they then play Arsenal, but then it's Brentford, Brighton, Wolves before I'd potentially wildcard. So I like the I like the longevity that I get from Sarr, but I'm not put anyone off Everton. The other benefit to going with Everton is their fixtures are good long term. Wolves, Villa, Liverpool, West Ham, Palace, City, Spurs, Sunderland, Fulham, United, and they don't have Europe. So maybe Grealish should be considered more than he has been. Thoughts on Gakpo? So my general consensus on Gakpo and Ekitike this week is neither of them are buys until we see what happens with the Isak move. Because if he goes, short term they'll be fine, but long term one of them will be an issue, and it might be that both of them become an issue. Who loses playtime from Xavi Simons signing? Probably Papsar, but also one of the other midfielders in a deeper role. It could be them, because we might have Papsar drop deeper. Done. Palmer and Marmouche for Bruno and Sarr. Yeah, I like both of those moves. I like both of those. Play Gakpo or Van de Ven. I definitely play Gakpo if you've got him, yeah. I like Burn. Yeah, I think the Newcastle fixtures start to look pretty nice from here. Yeah. Will I change Agbadu? I'm very excited for Agbadu this week. He got DEFCON last week. Yeah. 1 hour to go until the deadline. Let me put it in subscriber only mode. You literally will have subscribed for 1 second to be able to start using the chat again. But yes, aren't I worried, Sarr, because of UEFA competition? A little bit, but the Palace fixtures in the Conference League, right? They who did they get in the end? They got AZ Alkmaar, Dynamo Kiev, Kuopio, Strasbourg, which will be a difficult game, AEK Larnaca, and Shelbourne. I would be surprised if Ismaila Sarr plays all of those games, personally. I thought you said you'd done 2 transfers. No, I put my short says this is my plan, but I haven't confirmed them. Am I going to do Palmer to Anderson and Guy to Woods? I'm not going to go Anderson, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it will be Sarr. It's just whether I do the second transfer or not. Yeah, it's just whether I need to do the Chris Wood move. McTominay has this quote on how much he's loved moving to Italy because of the food, particularly the tomatoes. Name me a man who's had a bigger glow up after a transfer than Scott McTominay. He's turning into one of the best midfielders. Man United could do with Scott McTominay so much. Imagine, all this. Who do they play in that central midfield role where Bruno currently is being played, right? He's currently playing their best player out of position in centre mid, and Bruno is not good enough there. Imagine if they just had this version of Scott McTominay to play that role. And then they're going to let Kobbie Mainoo go, who's the next player who... I mean, McTominay would play in the 10, he's not a 6, but Bruno's not a 6, and he's playing there. McTominay's playing the 10 at Napoli. I know, but Bruno's not a 6, and he's being forced to play there. But yeah, I don't know. Any United fans, let me know what your thought process is going on at the moment. We're staying on Bruno on that basis I'm going to captain Bruno. I'm not going to, it's not going to move. Would I free hit if I own Haaland and no Salah? Definitely not. Because part of the reason to swap would be to go the other way around, to go remove Salah and go Haaland. So no. Brennan Johnson versus Kudus, short-term transfer. I still would go Kudus because as much as you might think of it as short-term, I still think long-term, if you're definitely going to wildcard in 2 weeks, then go Johnson. But if there's a possibility that you don't, then I would go Kudus. Yeah, the worst thing about the Garnacho transfer, I think, for the Garnacho transfer for United fans is Chelsea fans aren't even that bothered. I think it's a great bit of financial business, but yeah, sorry, I do freeze. I think it's a great bit of financial business for them, but I don't know how good a signing it's going to turn out to be, but yeah. Is -8 worth it? It depends what the moves are. I'm never completely against it. I took a -8 last year. Yeah, I use Fantasy Football Scout for my price changes. I think so far this season they're ranked as the #1 most accurate as well. So, I'll add it to the description of the streams if you are wanting to have a look at. I'll put it in the bottom of the useful FPL tools section. But yeah, it's ranked the #1. And it doesn't have GU being that close to being predicted to fall. When would I free hit if I own Haaland and no Salah? When would I free hit if I own Haaland and no Salah? It depends how much Liverpool cover you've got. Do you need to play it in 4? If you've got Haaland and no Salah and you don't need it in 4, then I would just look to save it. There is a potential for a double later down the line. No, not a double, sorry, a blank. If Palace stay in the Cup and stay in Europe. So you could always save it for that if it happens. Yeah, it's just the likelihood that that Isak moves. Because if Isak doesn't move, then I don't think I buy Chris Wood because I want that spot. Is Captain Watkins mad? To be honest, based off what we've seen, I would say yes. Like, even if we expect to bounce back. But if you don't have any other options, he's not the worst shout. I still think I'd captain Salah over Watkins this week. Plan is to sell Palmer and buy Sarr of Palace. It's just then if I do the Mark Yu to Chris Wood move, and if I do, who ends up on the bench? That's basically where we're at. João Pedro captaincy, you don't have. I don't mind it. I think João Pedro's fourth in my ranking, particularly without Palmer in the team. I think he gains quite a lot of that responsibility. So yeah, I don't mind it. Bring one mid, 5 to 7 min, got none, and one forward for game week 3, and same combo for game week 4. I'd go Chris Wood and probably Ismail Assar this week, and then João Pedro and another mid next week, probably. Why Sarr over Kudus? Spurs on fire now. True. I'm just not sure how high I see Kudus' goal threat. Basically, his assist threat looks great, but depends if Richarlison keeps scoring bicycle kicks. Can I talk about João Pedro versus Wood, please? Apologies. No, that's fine. Absolutely. So, for me, Chris Wood is the best striker over the next 4 weeks. But I would say João Pedro is the most likely to be a better longer-term hold, because I expect him to play a lot of minutes for Chelsea. I think he will be in and around it pretty much every game. And if we don't want to own Palmer for the value, I think João Pedro is the best. If not, I actually predicted in pre-season a video that I did for Scout, but they haven't posted it, that I predicted João Pedro to be the highest scoring Chelsea player in FPL this year. And I wouldn't be that surprised if it happened. How does Sarr and Wood then bench boosting sound? I don't think my bench is good enough. It might encourage me to bench boost in game week 5 though. Anyway, I keep Palmer. I do wonder about it. I don't think I will. I think I'll sell him. But why Bruno over João Pedro captain? Fulham are just. I mean, I know I'm captaining a United player, but at Fulham are just never a team that massively scream they get absolutely blown away. Start Illiman and die or Ismail Assar. This week I'd probably start and die against Wolves. Sorry. Is this my worst start for the last 5 years? I would probably say so. I think it's probably my worst start. I mean, it's 2 weeks, so I can't actually remember. But I presume so. If Wood in, you have to bench Sarr, Reinders, so roll. Well, that's the thing. That's the same for me. Palmer and Guiu to Kudus and Ekatike for a hit. I'm not sure I do Ekatike for a hit. I just wait it out and see what happens next week. Bench 1, Reinders, Sarr and Wirtz. Love the content. Thank you. I probably bench Reinders. How does Sarr and Wood then bench boost? Yeah, I've done that one. Haaland and Burma and Grealish for Watkins, Saka and Palmer. I don't mind it. I am not fully on board selling Watkins for a hit, but if you want Haaland to captain, then go for it. Where else? Why Sarr Kudu, Spurs on fire. We've done is yes. Rodgers or Reinders. I'd start Rodgers over Reinders. Brennan Johnson versus Kudus, short-term transfer. Brennan Johnson versus Kudus, short-term. We did. Yeah. So I would just be cautious of buying Gakpo or Ekatike because the chat seemed to think that the Isak transfer is going to happen. You just can't add a Man United player at the moment. And I think that's a completely legit, completely fair argument. If I didn't start the season with Bruno, do I think I'd buy him? I probably would, because I'm boring like that. But if you don't want to buy a United player, then I think that's absolutely fine. Why did I take the price drop on Palmer? Unfortunately, I didn't see that he was predicted to drop. He wasn't when I went to bed. So Shah has been cleared and looks like he's available. Palmer to Bruno or Rodgers. Probably would go Bruno out of those two if it was me. Why is no one talking about Alanga? He was in my free hit draft this week, so I quite like Alanga. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good, interesting differential punt. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't Wood viable for captain, though? So surely that makes him the worthy transfer. Only if I put the armband on him, and I just don't think I would do that. I think I'm still going to captain Bruno. I'm pretty certain it will be Sarr in for Palmer. Start one of Sarr or Mateta. Always the striker, always on pens. So Mateta there. Saka and Palmer were 2 transfers for who? Bruno and then any of the other cheaper mids. Or you could keep Palmer and just do Saka and a Mark Guiu if you've got him out. Yeah. Apparently there was a late adjustment on the price prediction, which made him predicted to drop. Yeah. Would I get Ekitike and a 5 million defender or João Pedro? And until I know Ekitike's and Isak's future, I'd go João Pedro. Do Semenyo and Wood in Palmer and Mark Guiu? I don't think I'm going to go Semenyo. Triple captain Wood and Burma or Bruno. This is not a week to triple captain for me. I would definitely look to save it. If I had to pick one of those, Bruno's my captain, right? So can't get my head around Bruno captain. I completely get it. I'm not sure I can get my head around it, but yeah. Jishnu, thank you very much for the super chat. You have 3 Liverpool and Palmer, 2 transfers in hand, free hit or replace Palmer and Guiu. Will be left with Salah, Van Dijk and Wirtz. I would just do that one. Yeah, I would. I think that's absolutely fine. Start Gabriel or Guiu to Mateta. Wood -4. If so, who? Start Gabriel or Guiu to Mateta. Wood for a hit. I'm not sure that transfer is worth a hit, to be honest. If it was a hit for me, I don't think I'd do that. Oh, I read your message wrong. Oh, did I? Oh, please read your message. You have a Langer captain, Dango in, but do I play Rodgers or Ndai? I'll probably play Ndai. We expect him to on penalties. I think his early sub was just, a one-off last week. Prioritize dropping Bowen or upgrading Guiu for Pedro. I'd probably upgrade Guiu because Bowen still has a use at some point, even if they haven't been very good recently. Why Burma over Cunha? I just have it in my mind that I think Mbamo will score more points this year, but I might end up being wrong. But I just think Bruno, Mbamo, Cunha is my ranking, and I might end up being wrong, but yeah, that is where I'm at. Thank you all for joining. Happy Saturday morning. Please drop a like on the stream if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Yeah, so let's have a look at my transfers again. Let's have a look. Cool. Yeah, it's just, do I need Chris Wood? would say I either bench Saar or I bench Reinders. Let's have a look. Chris Wood in 7-7 for Chris Wood. Ugh. Yeah. Going into game week 4, Chris Wood then gets benched. Game week 5, it does mean I get to bench Reinders away at Arsenal. So maybe it is good. Maybe it benefits me further down the line, because otherwise, if I don't have it in game week 5, I'd have to make a transfer then, probably. If this was GU and I had Reinders away at Arsenal, I probably would be looking at a game week 5 transfer. Whereas I'd probably roll in game week 5. If Ekatike goes, if Isak goes next week, I wonder about making a defensive move. Because I have Porro, Anderson, but then I don't have a good last defender. And it's the start of Palace's good fixture run. So I would look at something like, I don't know, like I could even do a Stev to a Stev to Richards, maybe. Let's just do that. Or a Stev to, let's do Mark Guillory. Let's say he stays, right? And then I could play that. Then game week 5. But then I'm probably bench boosting game week 5, aren't I? Frederick, let me take a look. I do apologise. Right. Would I transfer in Saar instead of Palmer if you already had Mateta and Munoz? No, I probably wouldn't. I would go elsewhere. I wouldn't go triple Palace yet. Yeah, I mean, it boils down to the Isak transfer, really. It boils down to, yeah. It boils down to the Isak transfer, basically. Do I think that Isak is going to move? Because if he is, then I don't need to leave transfers available for the likes of Ekatike and Gakpo. But if I don't think he's going to move, then I need to leave those transfers open. Isak is happening. Newcastle won't splash random cash. Isak will move. Isak is coming. I just don't love the idea of benching Reinders. Um, 100% he's moving. Oh, sorry. On here it has the wrong captain. They did sign Walter Marden, but they also apparently I don't know, like, is he to come in and be number 1, or is he a future backup for Isak? Bench Evan Nilsson, Saar, or Gakpo. That's a good one. I probably would bench. Gakpo's record at home is so good, though. I was going to say bench Gakpo just for this fixture, but I probably would bench Gakpo. Just I'd play the fixture. 80 mil for a backup is crazy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But is it a future investment? Yeah, Walter Martin is expected to be the replacement for Wilson, not Isak. They'll go for another one, and if not, keep Isak most likely. No one is talking about certain Ballon d'Or winner being back from injury with amazing DEFCON stats. Thoughts? I don't know if we know Rodri will definitely come back in. I don't know if he's definitely going to start. Start Gabriel or Richards? Probably Richards. Probably Richards. Okay, yeah, I'd probably play. Yeah, I probably would. Captain Haaland or Chris Wood? Haaland is so. In the top right-hand corner, I have a ranking of a lot of things, and one of them, which will be up in about 5 seconds, is captaincy. And as Haaland number 1, it does have Bruno number 2. Yeah, I would go Haaland. Yeah, Haaland 1. If you've got Haaland, he's just the best captain this week. Plan to free hit maybe in game week 6, but it also might not be. I've seen the Buonanotte to Chelsea. I'm really confused by that transfer. I don't really understand, but it's a Chelsea Blue Co transfer, I think. But it's only a loan. That's why I'm so confused. Is it's a loan with no option to buy. Yeah, a loan with no option to buy. So I'm like, what? How come Burma over Cunha? I just think his output with some set pieces is better. That's basically it. I just think Burma's output is going to be better. I don't have much to base it on. Harry, do I really think Saar will outscore your bench? Isn't it worth keeping Palmer for good fixtures and info after the break? I mean, I don't think it's guaranteed. I think he'll likely be back. I don't think it's completely guaranteed, though. And it's the value and the fact that I like Saar. Like, I think the next few fixtures for Saar are pretty good. So, is Mateta better than Wood with free hit 6? Slightly, but I just don't think I want double Palace. I'm not sure I'd want double Palace. Vert and Watkins to Rodgers and Wood. You have 2 transfers. I'm not sure. I feel like you're moving. I feel like that's quite sideways. So no. Sorry, Emmanuel. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't. Why Saar over Semenyo? I'm just not sure that Semenyo's worth what? He's up to 7.3 mil now. It just feels like quite a lot. just feels like quite a lot. Who am I benching if I bring in Saar and Wood? This is it. Like either Saar or Reinders, probably. Either Saar or Reinders. But Semenyo delivers. He has done, but there's also been a lot of times that I don't know, maybe I just have a tainted vision of owning Semenyo. I feel like I owned him a lot last year and he was really disappointing. And I just worry that we're going to get that from him again if I go and buy him. I'm also not certain that the next three for Semenyo is quite as good as it looks on paper. Like he's got Spurs, he's got he's got Spurs, Brighton, Newcastle in the next three. So I'm just not sure he's worth the price that he's up to now. I didn't think he was particularly worth the price at the beginning of the season, and I'm not 100% sure anything has massively changed apart from the thing that's changed, he has started he started really well. That's what's changed. He takes so many shots. He did, but he took so many shots last year. Yeah. Yeah, he took them last year and he was still. But if he improves his finishing, he's going to be great. And maybe this is the season that he does that, and maybe it's worth it. Bit of noise. There's going to be an Isak bid today. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Part of me thinks that I will do Chris Wood, just because when I looked at those planned transfers in game week 5, if I don't take a hit, if I don't do the 2 transfers now, I'll use a transfer in game week 5. Now I might buy someone else is the only thing, and it might go further down the line, and I might look to sell Chris Wood. So I don't know. I don't know. Captaincy is interesting. Yeah, let me do a poll of what people are captaining. Captaincy poll. I think the top are Haaland, Wood, Bruno, other. Wood all the way. Wood is number 1. Haaland, Wood, Bruno. 16% on other. Need João Pedro. I mean, I think these are the top 3. I think. Salah, yeah. Why Fernandez over Pedro Cap is the early kickoff jinx is real, but also, I mean, I just don't think Fulham are a team that have. I wouldn't be surprised if this game this morning finishes like 1-0, because Fulham just don't seem like a team that often get completely blown away, and that's probably where yeah. If you're spending 9 million on Bruno, it makes Semenyo and complaining about Semenyo at 7-3. You probably are correct. That is probably a very real comment. You're probably right there. I probably shouldn't be spending 9 million on Bruno if I think Semenyo is too expensive. You could do Palmer to Kudus, Rodgers for Elanga, and Watkins to Haaland. Captain and better long-term play. Is it a bad idea? I don't think that's a bad idea. I'm not sure I want to sell Watkins and Rodgers for a hit though. Is basically where I'm at. Yeah, you're probably right with that Bruno comment though. Cunha for Palmer for a week and captain him. I mean, that's the other thing about if I do, let's say I do Palmer to Sarr, right? I could end up just going back again. Would you bench a Palace defender for a Tottenham defender? Yes, I would. I'd play your Spurs defender, I think. Would I play Esteve and Porro or Van de Ven and Porro? I'd double up on Spurs, I think. Overplaying Esteve. What camera do I use? It's called I think it's the Sony ZV-1. I've had it a while now. I was wondering about upgrading it, but it looks all right. Kudus for Palmer, I really like. The reason I'm probably not going for Kudus is I'm not sure I've seen enough from him to think that his goal threat is definitely worth it. Basically. Anderson from Fulham or Richards? I play Richards over Anderson, yeah. Do I have both of them in my benching ranking? This is where we're at. Yeah, I do. They're ranked. It's basically all defenders this week because not many people have the attacking issue, benchings. So it's ranked from 1 to 17. The best player is 1 and the worst is 17. There's no Forest defenders on it just because if you own them, you're definitely going to be starting them, basically. How long do we have? 25 minutes. Thank you, Fiona. Would I captain out of Pedro, Watkins, and Salah? Pedro, Watkins, Salah. Probably João Pedro, but João Pedro versus Salah is really close. Yeah, Reinders or Rodgers? Reinders or Rodgers? Definitely play Rodgers. Start Dewsbury Hall or Gabriel? Dewsbury Hall. Or Gabriel. Yeah, I'd play Dewsbury Hall. What am I going to... I'm going to keep Bruno. Like, I still remain that I think Bruno is a long-term hold. Yeah. I don't plan on selling Bruno. Reinders or Anderson of Forest? I actually like Anderson of Forest a lot. I really like him. And I think he's being hard done by because he hasn't got some returns, which he was very close to. Yeah. And like if he got DEFCON in the first 2 games, he'd be all over it again. I look very small. Why? I sat far back, I think. Would I captain Wood, Cunha, or Salah? I'd captain Chris Wood out of those. My captain ranking is in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take a look at it, it's Haaland top. I do have Bruno in the number 2 spot, and I completely get that you might want to skip that one, but then it's Chris Wood next. Semenya or Sarr. Yeah, I'm going to keep the captaincy poll up. I would probably... I mean, let us know in the chat. We'll do it as a comment. Just type in the chat Semenya or Sarr, and we'll see what the most common answer is. Am I free hitting with Triple United mid, so Haaland or Wood captain? I'd go Haaland captain. For me, is the best captaincy option this week. Benching Gakpo or Reinders, what do I reckon? I'll probably play Gakpo over Reinders. Let me see if any of you have tagged me in anything again. Oh, no. You got 3 Forest. Should I swap 1 for Livramento? If you're on free hit, no. Regardless of whether you're on free hit or not, I would stick with 3 Forest if you got them for West Ham at home. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to go Sarr, right? It's just whether I do the Chris Wood move. I do think it helps me in... Because I do wonder about saving the free hit. I do wonder about saving the free hit. Because let's say I do this, right? And then I get to 6. I've effectively still got 3 transfers to make. The team is not bad. It's just no Haaland. Really. Pedro Porro, Williams. And like, if next week, if I do an Esteve defender to a defender who's got a good fixture in 4, do I need 5? No, 4 and 6. Who has a good 4 and 6 fixture? Spurs. I mean, I could go to Van de Ven, but I'm not sure. Anderson or De Kuiper. I'd go probably Anderson and just hope for the DEFCON. I think. 4 and 6. I mean, I could go Bournemouth. Liverpool. I probably don't have money to go up to them, though. But, you know, Van Dijk, I don't have the cash for that. Everton, Villa at home. Like, I could go Tarkowski. Esteve or Joachim Anderson. I'd go Joachim Anderson. Connor, sorry. Done Palmer and Gu to Wood and Sarr. Bench Sarr or Dewsbury Hall. I definitely would bench Dewsbury Hall out of those, yeah. I definitely would. Wood will tear apart West Ham. Bruno down, Watkins up for you for Haaland to save the free hit. Yeah, that's another possibility. Sarr has had 0-1-1, 0-1 non-block shots in the past 5. I mean that. City. Man United and Burnley. Yeah, it's who on earth I buy at City. I don't have the luxury of that money. Yeah, I'd have to put it into the Scout fixture ticker, I think. Let me do that. Let me see who comes out on top. Fixture ticker. I want to sort by defensive difficulty, and I want just 5 weeks. Does that take us to 8? To 6? I want 4 and 6. City atop. Then Villa, then Spurs, then Everton. It might be Everton. It might be Everton. Liverpool, West Ham. interesting. It's not a good combination, really. Like, there's no one that really stands out there. What was my defense in 6? Wolves, Sunderland. It's just the last one. But I could play Anderson away at Villa, I guess. Maybe if I go Chris Wood, it doesn't feel like I need the transfer. But then, like, Chris Wood is just going to be a sell again. Like, here, I'll need to sell Chris Wood in 7, won't I? Probably. But maybe I just take the short-term points on him. It's just then, who do I bench this week? It's just then, who do I bench? Am I going to bench Reinders? You bench Reinders. I don't like benching Reinders very much, if I'm honest, but you'd bench Sarr, but he's got a great record against Villa. Reinders away at Brighton. Record is not everything. There's fatigue there as well. They're actually expected points are really similar. I might bench Sarr, to be honest. Palace, leggy, bench Sarr. I think I probably would bench Sarr. I'm not bench boosting double Burnley away at United. Yeah. I think I'd probably bench Sarr. A few of you in the chat talking about a tweet on Twitter from a Newcastle account about Barnes. I can't believe that it is another new season and we are talking about NUFC Will. Please do all yourselves a favor. It might end up being right, but this account has been notoriously unreliable for many, many seasons. Please don't believe it. Please don't believe it. I feel like we have this with this account every single season, and then enough people block it so then it doesn't come back. And then we do it all over again. And we do it all over again. The thing the thing that encourages me to go Chris Wood is the potential for a role in game week 5. Because I think if I don't go Chris Wood, I'm going to have to make a transfer in 5. Because I'd have Reinders away at Arsenal, and I'd have Guiu home to Villa. Like, we don't even know if he's going to be starting by then. So as much as it might be useful now, and the chat generally seems to think that we will get the Alexander Isak transfer this weekend. I do need that to go through, though. We do need to go through. Please, if you're looking at NUFC Will in the chat, please do yourself a massive favor and just block the account. It's been on FPL Twitter for what feels like since I started making it and since I started making content, and yeah, they have been wrong more times than they've been right. I mean, we may as well. Why am I unsure benching Reinders when all bench Reinders questions you said to bench him over others? I just like to make a transfer to bench someone like Reinders is difficult. Lion, apologies. Bench Reinders, Bruno, Watkins, or Rogers. Like in that situation, I would bench Reinders. It's just perfect timing of Harry. Why are you so scared benching Reinders when you're recommending it? Because in that situation, like it's fine. Someone is at my door, but I can hear them buzzing all the other doors as well. So it will be the postman. I think I'll probably will bench Saar and just hope that they're tired. I think. It's Saar or Reinders. I think. I think. But Villa without a couple of key players, maybe. Yeah. Villa without a couple key players does make me more inclined to do it. Right. Oh, I have GW Vice. Apologies. But it will be because that'll be Chris Wood, I think. Yeah. Who do I play? Right. Hang on. So that's Palmer. It's really annoying. I missed that. I think I am going to go Chris Wood. And I think I'm going to go Saar. I think. It's then just who I bench. Start Anderson or Dewsbury Hall. E7, of course. Let me take a look. No Saar. You have Mateta, Gakpo, Semenyo, or Kudus. No Saar. You have Mateta, Gakpo, Semenyo, or Kudus. Probably in that situation, I would go Kudus. I think. No, I'd probably go I'd go Semenyo if you've got the money for it, but if not, I'd go Kudus. I think. I think I'm going to go Chris Wood because it lets me roll in 5. I think is the plan, and it might allow me to save the free hit in 6 as well. I think that's more valuable than this one transfer. Captain Watkins or Richarlison. If I had to pick one of those, I'd go Watkins. Palmer, Tassar, Anderson, and Guta, Wood, Mateta, Gyökeres. Which pair? I did look at the Anderson Gyökeres combination, but I think I'm going to go Saar, Chris Wood. Captain João Pedro or Reinders. Oh, sorry, I haven't hidden. How long has that been hidden for? How long has that been? Oh, it has. It's been hidden all this time. That was not intentional. I had this up. Apologies. Yeah, 8 minutes to go. I mean, I think I'm gonna do both. It's just then who I bench. It's then just who I bench. Palmer. Hang on. Palmer to Sarr. Chris Margie to Chris Wood. Right. Yeah. Ooh, what's going on here? There we go. So the vice captain then goes to Chris Wood. Sarr currently on the bench. Why Captain Bruno? I just think it's the fixture. Like when I went for game week 1, a part of the reason I wanted Bruno, like part of the reason I went Bruno over Wirtz is because I wanted to captain Bruno in game week 3 and Wirtz didn't help me with that. So yeah, it's just the bench now. It's just the bench. I might just bench. I think I'm going to bench Sarr. Like, I know it feels weird, but I think I'm going to bench Sarr. It gives me a bit of City as well, having Reinders, which feels like I don't think I'm going to bench double. I'm not going to bench a Villa player. I'm not going to bench anyone else. It's just Reinders or Sarr. Bench Bruno. Because part of me is like, even if Sarr ends up doing well, he'll be really popular. So at least I'll have that slight benefit of him going forward. Why not captain João Pedro on pens? I just don't think Fulham are a team that I see us scoring loads of goals against. I bought Sarr to bench him. Oh, it looks that way, yeah. We have 4 minutes to go until the deadline. Oh. I don't know. I know Sarr has this crazy record against them. Start Reinders or Pap Sarr. Reinders over Pap Sarr, definitely. Bench Watkins or Ndoye. Neither. I definitely must have someone else in your lineup you could bench. Bench Watkins or Ndoye. Play Kudus or Reinders. Play Kudus over Reinders. Bench Ndoye or Sarr. Probably Sarr. You did Palmer gear out for Kudus and Wood. No consideration for Kudus. I liked Kudus. I just need to see a bit more goal threat from him, I think, before I go there. I owned Sarr at the end of last season and he was really disappointing. Yeah, imagine if Palmer's suddenly in the lineup. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? City are still figuring things out, maybe. But Palace also, I think... Reinders or Anderson. If you've got Anderson at Forest, I would definitely play him. Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I've played Nottingham Forest Anderson over Sarr. which way round. Oh, dear. Bench Vert or Rogers? Probably bench Verts, to be honest. Is Strand Larsen going to play? I saw Oscar sold him, so Oscar will have been focusing on the Strand Larsen move more than I will have done. And he sold him. So I would probably not. I mean, if you've got any cover, then I think, like, if you've got anyone on the bench, I think it's fine to keep him. But if you don't, then I probably would look to move him. Bench Reinders or Ndai, definitely Reinders. I'm going to play Rogers. I just think they're going to have to bounce back at some point. We're into the final 2 minutes before the deadline, so please go and make sure you've checked your teams. We're going to stick around. We've got a couple of things to do after the stream deadline, and we'll wait for the news and stuff, so don't head off. Good luck this week if you are jumping off. I think I'm going to bench Saar, or I might. Yeah, I think I am. Staying. Let me take a look. Start Marmouche or Reinders? I'd start Reinders because I'm not sure Marmouche will definitely start. Like, I think we'll see a very similar lineup to game week 1. Yeah, I think we'll see a similar lineup to game week 1. Did I just buy Saar to bench him? Yeah, but I also allowed me to buy Chris Wood, who's now my vice captain. Benching Verts over Saar and Reinders, do I agree? I don't mind it. I probably would play Verts over Reinders, but actually, no, I probably wouldn't. I probably would bench Verts, yeah. We're into the final minute. Please go and check your teams. The timer is always a few seconds early just to go and get you all a little bit of time to lock in. So that is going to be all the questions that we answer on this stream. If you're heading off, please go and like and subscribe before you go. And thank you all for watching. Have a lovely weekend, but please do hang around as we've got a few things to do over the next 10 minutes or so. But that is how we ended up for this week. The game hasn't locked yet. It is just hit 11 o'clock. Has it officially locked? Yes, the game is locked. Game week 3 team lock. So Palmer and Guy out. Who did I buy? So Wood in. Bruno cap. One sec, and I will be all with you. One moment. Right. First things first. We're going to do fancy challenge and everything. But before we do fancy challenge, we do need to do our club lineup for this week. So what I want you to do all is guess a player you think. I've also got my upgrade to do of my stadium. I have increased salary cap. If you want to go club, it is completely free to play. You basically get packs every couple of hours. It's like Ultimate Team. If you're excited for the new FIFA, you get a pack. And if the player you like in it, you get to add them to your lineup. You don't have to keep them. And you also have a wage gap depending on who so you can't just have all the best players if you get them because you have a salary cap, which you can upgrade as time goes on. Let me know in the comments the player. It is honestly so much fun. And join my league. There's 1,500 of you in my league. Let's have a look who is top while you're all guessing. Who is top of the league? Kinney Mini is top with 350. Sorry. How do I sort by? I mean, crazy. Got 244 points this week. These are all blowing me out of the water. Scan the QR code or download the link. Completely free. And it is the best game I play on top of FPL. I absolutely love it. I cannot tell you enough how much I enjoy it. Let me set that one to upgrade. Right. Let's see who we get. Guesses in the chat. Guesses. Any Premier League player. Any Premier League player. Just put a little guess of who you think it's going to be. This is the animation. Oh, I do like the sound effects, though. Here we go. This is the music that it comes with. Oh. There we go. Oh, here we go. A forward. Check. No. Oh, sorry. That is. There he is. Whoa. If you've got Gyökeres and you can't afford the wage, you can just leave him on your bench because it automatically doesn't allow you. I promise you it's not pre-recorded. I already have him in my lineup. So I tap now and it's going to go. Like, I've already got him, but I get him for 6 games now. And I'm wearing the Chelsea shirt. He's already in my lineup. So my lineup for this week, right? This is where we're at. I've got Caicedo on the bench, but he's out of budget. This is my lineup for this weekend. Let me know what you think. Pedro, Alanga, Semenyo, Reinders, Fulkrug, Damsgaard, Sarr, Murillo, Livramento, Lacroix, and Sells. Honestly, I'm sorry, I've already got him, but I now have him for 6 games. For 6 games. So make sure, honestly, download it. It is just the most fun game. I am such an Ultimate Team fan and I love FPL, and Club is the perfect game in between. And you think about FPL, but you wait to do your transfers. There's every 2 hours you get to open a pack. So that is my lineup. Check it out. Yeah, if he scores, we're all here for the club hype when he scores. Let's just quickly go back to the main. Stop playing Ultimate Team. It's too much stress. Well, yeah, you can just play. You can play Club. Let me Club instead. Fancy challenge. Oh, it's gonna make me log in. Here we go. Oh yeah, DEFCON is worth 10 points this week. Which goalkeeper's getting DEFCON? Lol. I'm gonna go Sells in goal, I think. Who's going to get DEFCON? Which defenders are going to get DEFCON? Do you know who I'm going to pick? I'm definitely going to pick Elliot Anderson. Because he loves it. Oh, you can only have one from each team. Okay. Who are we all picking this week? I'm probably going to go 2-2-1. Take out Sells. So up front, I mean, no one's going to get DEFCON up here. So Erling Haaland is going in. In goal, I'm going to go Jose Sarr. Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. I'm going to go Pope. Agbadu, I don't pick players when I play this who are in my normal lineup because I don't want to jinx them. Oh, yeah, Delit. Yes, I'm definitely going Senesi. Oh yeah, Lacroix as well. Top shout. Guy loves DEFCON. And we're going for a back. And we're going Tarkowski. Of course we are. And we are Tarkowski captain. What a time to be alive, eh? Save team. Right. That is my fancy challenge lineup. I am not going to stick around for the lineups because I have got to get to Chelsea for a kickoff in an hour and just over an hour and 20 minutes. So I am going to head off now. That is how we ended up. This is how we ended up for game week 3. It is the international break, but then we will have the usual, like there'll be an early video. There will be some stuff during the international break, particularly if you're playing wildcard and all that stuff. So I'm going to head off. As I said, if you haven't started club and you're thinking, Harry, your lineup's too strong, you do get matched against players who have played the game for a similar amount of time for you. So if you want to download it, link in the description. Honestly, so good. Get in my league as well. Let me just flash all that back up. QR code, link. Have a great one this weekend. Good luck this week. Hopefully it goes better than our previous weeks, and I will catch you all very soon. Bye.